All right, let's talk about David Goggins. His philosophy? It is definitely not for the faint of heart. It's all about forging mental armor, about becoming so tough that the world literally can't break you. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down the core principles of how Goggins believes you can build a truly unbreakable mind.
And look, his whole method, it's born from this one pretty brutal truth. He believes life is your ultimate competitor, and it is constantly searching for your weak spot so it can exploit it. And that's not about being a pessimist, It's about being ready for a fight that he says is absolutely coming.
So yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? If this world is basically designed to beat you down, how in the world do you build a defense system that can withstand anything it throws at you? Well, Goggins' answer is both incredibly simple and unbelievably difficult. And his answer isn't about, making little tweaks here and there. No, it's about a complete and total reinvention. Goggins argues that the person you are right now, the one who looks for comfort, the one who quits when things get hard, that person isn't the one who can win this fight.
Okay, so this whole idea of reinvention, it all starts with this one core concept. There are two versions of you. There's the one you were born as, and then there's the one you have to consciously, deliberately create. For him, this was the difference between David Goggins, the original, and Goggins, the creation. And this, right here, this lays out that internal battle just perfectly. On one side, you've got David Goggins, the kid who is scared, who got bullied, and whose default setting was to quit. But on the other side, you have Goggins, this identity he engineered to be armored, disciplined, and absolutely relentless.
And you gotta understand, for him, this wasn't some kind of choice. It was pure survival. He saw a major flaw in his own programming, a default setting that just screamed quit. So he had to build a whole new operating system from the ground up, one that was designed for the fight, not for flight.
Okay, so let's say you do it. You build this new, tougher version of yourself. Well, guess what? Now you've got a new enemy, success itself. Goggins is convinced that success makes you soft, so he came up with some very specific tactics to make sure he always stays hungry. He's got this term for it, capping success. The idea is actually pretty straightforward. When you achieve something great, you don't celebrate for long. You don't sit back and pop the champagne. Nope. You cut off the praise, you ignore all the noise, and you get right back to what he calls the mental lab, because that's where the real growth happens. And to really drive this point home, Goggins tells us an incredible story about a man named William Crawford. This guy held the Medal of Honor, the highest award for heroism in the entire U.S. military. And yet, he chose to work as a janitor at the Air Force Academy, cleaning toilets for young cadets who had no idea who he really was. And that right there is the core of what Goggins calls trained humility. It's this idea that real strength doesn't come from your status or your accomplishments. It comes from being grounded, from remembering where you came from. What's wild is that he doesn't see this as some noble virtue. He sees it as a skill, something you have to train every single day. And this isn't just talk. Goggins lives by this stuff. He could be on a stage making millions of dollars giving speeches, but instead, he chose to become a smoke jumper, literally parachuting into remote wildfires to fight them on the ground. I mean, just think about that trade-off for a second. Millions of dollars for $15 an hour. Why on earth would you do that? Because for Goggins, the real value isn't in the paycheck. It's in the struggle. It's in being cold and miserable. It's in pushing forward when every part of your brain is screaming at you to stop. That's where the real prize is. So all this toughness, it isn't just about these huge, life-altering decisions. It's about winning the tiny little battles that happen in your head moment to moment. And for that, Goggins has a very specific tool he calls the 1-second war. His whole point is, look, you can win 1,000 mental battles in a row, but if you lose just one, that split second where your brain tells you to quit and you listen, it's all gone. That one little moment can just unravel everything you've built. So here's the play-by-play. Imagine you're in excruciating pain, like during surf torture in Hell Week. Your brain is just screaming, "Get out!" Goggins says you have to physically stay put, but mentally, you get the heck out of there. You pull your mind away from the pain, and in that space, you start thinking logically about how much quitting will suck later. Then, once you've won that battle, you re-engage. You have to win that 1-second decision over and over and over again. So when you put all of these tools together, building the new you, capping your success, winning that 1-second war, it's all pointing to one thing. It's all designed to build real, unshakable, earned confidence. I mean, it's the question we all ask, right?
But Goggins says it's got nothing to do with cheesy affirmations or looking in the mirror and telling yourself you're awesome. His approach is, well, it's way more real than that.
See, for him, confidence isn't something you just wish for. It's something you build, literally brick by painful brick. It's about creating a stack of evidence so high that your self-doubt just can't climb over it. You have to literally outwork your own inner critic.
So now when Goggins' mind starts telling him he can't do something, he doesn't need to repeat a mantra. Nope. He just opens up this mental file cabinet that's stuffed with undeniable proof. 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks, a 240-mile ultramarathon, finishing a 100-mile race while he was super sick. This list, it isn't about ego. This is his evidence file. It's the proof he pulls out when his mind says he's finished.
And he's super clear about this. The point isn't just to cross the finish line. It's not about the trophy. It's about what you learn about yourself in the absolute worst moments of suffering. That's where you find out who you really, truly are. All right, so let's tie all this together. When you combine all these pieces, you get to the ultimate endgame of his entire philosophy, building a mind that is so armored, it doesn't need anything from the outside world to perform. Think about it. Motivation, that comes and goes. Purpose, that can shift. Goggins says you have to train yourself to perform at the highest level when you feel like you have neither. And you might ask why? Well, because the purpose becomes you. Simply showing up for yourself, that becomes the only reason you need. And really, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. At the end of the day, in your absolute toughest moment, Goggins says the answer is almost always yes. You can take one more step. So the final, really provocative question he leaves us with isn't about your ability. It's about your will. If you know you can, why won't you?